Hi, this is Brad Straley with Jacksonville For Life. We appreciate you listening today, and as always, like to thank Queen of Peace Radio for allowing us to talk about pro-life issues here in Northeast Florida. Before we introduce today's guest, I'd like to ask prayers for a past guest, a pro-life activist, Melissa. She is suffering with breast cancer, and we ask that you keep her in your prayers. Today we have Roger Phillips with Life Services. Roger, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Brad. It's good to be here with you. I appreciate the opportunity to come in. It's a beautiful day out, isn't it?
Always in Florida, Sunshine State. I want to talk about pro-life issues, and what we don't talk about as often as we probably should is how someone deciding to end the pregnancies, have an abortion, how that affects them and their family. And if that's something in the last year and a half that being at Life Services, Roger, that you can share with us today would be a real blessing.
Well, Brad, you hit on a key subject, and I'm glad you asked the question and bring it up. You're exactly right. That has been the focal point of what I've been thinking about and trying to hone our skills and our resources towards helping someone. Honestly, I think what happens to an individual that gets in that situation is they feel like that there are no options. There's only one option that presents itself. There's so many barriers and difficulties that they have to face, whether they turn to the right or turn to the left, that they almost can't see what's right in front of them. And so just assuring that person that is in that situation and then making contact with that person is another difficulty too. But assuring that person that there are people that care, that would support them, that can offer other alternatives to the situation that they've come up against and they don't see any other options. And just doing options counseling is really what we call it, and providing the support that's necessary to give them the ability to see and analyze those situations. And so many clients walk away from that setting so relieved to know that there are people who care. There are other options that are very viable options that are much better options than the one that they're considering, because really most people don't want to deal with that situation, and they realize the problem that they're up against. So
so we have this problem or issue of a unplanned pregnancy, and it's usually a young mother, as you can attest. Father may or may not be in the picture. They may or may not have a family member with them. If the young mother comes in and already decided at that point, at least in her mind, she wants to go ahead and have an abortion, how would that affect that you've seen? How does that affect, one, the unborn baby, and two, that young mother and her family, Roger?
Well, certainly, Brad, I think we're all realize that the very critical situation of the future life that's involved there with that baby, and recognizing that that baby as a person, as a human being, I think that's the real difficulty, because the world, even to a large extent our government, without being overly political at this point, there are those that say that baby has no constitutional rights. And I would dare to say to that person that thinks that way that they are absolutely wrong, that baby has just as much right to exist and to have a future as I do or you do. The only difference between me and them is their size. And even the mother in that case really doesn't have the controlling ability to terminate that life if they really think about it. And one day they'll have to answer to God for that. And I'm afraid that they'll be very regretful for the decision that they've made. Of course, the consequences have already been laid out. But we do see a lot of younger clients, and you're exactly right, Brad. We see the largest number of our clients are from 20 to 24. They're young adults. They're still not well developed in their ability to to make difficult decisions. Studies have shown us that our brains are really just developing to the point that we're able to process that type of information, and it's only at that point or a little bit later that we're fully able to make complex decisions. And so they have limited limited choices. They feel like there are barriers that they can't overcome, and so it's a real struggle, and they're looking for that support that they need to help them in that way. And that's a great privilege to be able to do that. I'll say
now, how can you support someone that comes in and teetering on decision of their unborn child?
I think the real way, and what we try to do at Life Services and all of our volunteers, all of our paid staff that we have, is we just try to demonstrate that we care. We are that point of contact that they have, that the Lord has brought them to in His providential way, to help them to know that there is a way that they can make it through this, and we're there to support them, to offer them the options that they need, whether they be emotional, whether they be spiritual, whether they be monetary, physical resources that they need to really see these other choices as viable options for them.
We hear, and it's simple, it's easy. However, there are side effects. We know we're killing an innocent human. But what about the harm to the woman and her family?
There are such tremendous psychological consequences to the decision that many people are deceived into, that they don't realize. They haven't even considered those things, that they're going to have to process that guilt. They're going to have to be accountable for their actions, that it isn't a one-time, once and you're done sort of situation. Once they go through that, into that arena, they've entered into a place where they almost can't get back from. Of course, with the Lord and His forgiveness, there is that part that's there, but many enter into a lifelong struggle of dealing with their guilt, dealing with their anxiety, suffering with the consequences, not only those emotional difficulties but the real physical difficulties that exist, because there are increased rates of medical problems that come out of this, increased chances of cancer, the difficulty that already pre-existing sexual transmitted diseases are there, and those are made more complex and more difficult to deal with because of an abortion. There's just so many things that an individual has to deal with, and just making that one-time decision doesn't take care of all of the problems.
And on our website, jacksonvilleforlife.org, we talk about some of those side effects, medical and physiological, and these are well documented, going back to I believe 1959. And just think about breast cancer. 80% of the studies since 1959 show that abortion increases the likelihood of breast cancer. And again, won't go all of them. Again, there are on jacksonvilleforlife.org under side effects. So someone comes in and thinks they have the problem about being pregnant, and they end the pregnancy, but it creates all new problems. And like you said, it doesn't go away. If someone has had an abortion, what options do they have as far as healing?
Well, we are able to provide some services to those people as well. If they've already kind of gone into that arena, there are still some ways that we can help them. There's post-abortion counseling that can be done, helping them to deal with their grief, helping them to deal with their guilt, helping them to come to terms with that situation before God, and the forgiveness that He can give them, and the healing that He alone can bring in their lives. And so we're able to provide that. We can also give resources to them where that they can receive the type of professional counseling that is really needed for many people. They've gotten to that point Sometimes it's just a support mechanism that's there that we're able to provide. Many times that happens best in a small group setting, and so depending on the individual and their situation, we can either do the one-on-one encouragement that they might need, or that we can refer them to a small group that's working together with other people that are dealing with that same sort of a problem and situation, and they can support one another. They can not only receive help, but they can actually give help to other people. And I found that that's a very therapeutic thing for all of us to do.
Yeah. I imagine that is a blessing for everyone involved. So this abortion on demand, is it really empowering and liberating women as some people have claimed?
Well, isn't that a kind of a catch-22 that people really feel that way, that it's a lie of the devil is really the way I think about it. It's that bait that draws so many people in to know that, or to falsely think that that's an answer to all of their problems. And certainly, we know that it's not. We know that it's not because we can stand back and we can analyze it. We can look at studies. We can look at data that tell us that that is not the case. We can look at the testimonies of those that have been down that road and that are now willing to come back and say, you know, if I could undo this and do it a different way, I certainly would. But I guess the saying is you can't unscramble eggs. You just kind of have to deal with the situation you've fallen into.
You're listening to Pro-Life Radio. Today we have Roger Phillips with Life Services. Do not go away. We will be back momentarily.
Are you pregnant? Got questions? Maybe you know somebody that has questions. Maybe there's an unplanned pregnancy, something you didn't expect was going to happen to you, and you're just really trying to figure it out. Why not give us a call at Life Services? We're ICU mobile, and we can provide a free pregnancy test to help you answer some of those questions. We can provide a free ultrasound to kind of help you to know and to identify with the situation that you're going through, and we can do that without any charge whatsoever. We can provide a counselor to you that will help walk you through and to support you and to make the decision that you need to make, the one that you're really struggling with. We hope that you'll call us at Life Services at 904-599-6122. There's also a 24-hour information line, 800-712-HELP. We're here, we're ready, we're available to help you in any way that we can. 800-712-HELP.
Hi, this is Brad Straley with Jacksonville For Life. Today we have Roger Phillips with Life Services. Roger, we've been talking about abortion, how it affects, obviously, the unborn child and the family. Someone wants to contact you about your services. How can they reach you?
Well, there's a couple of different ways, Brad. First of all, the telephone is a way, and our number that we answer in the office is 904-599-6122. And one of our client services advocates will pick that number up, or it's possible that I'll pick that up myself. And then we can offer immediate assistance in the office. Another way to receive help 24/7 is just to call a number that's known as Option Line. That number is manned nationwide, and it comes into a call center, and that number is 800-712-HELP. And there'll be a trained person there on the other end that can provide immediate assistance, and then can also schedule an appointment with a local person to where that individual can deal with their immediate crisis, and then also they can receive the follow-up care and services that they need. And among those services that are available, again, are those options counseling. But I would like to say another thing that we do, and a lot of people are looking for, is two things. They're looking for a pregnancy test. They're looking for verification of the situation that they think they're in. And oftentimes that's the source of that anxiety. And so they can get that question answered. A lot of times the other things will start to fall in place. Another thing that is very evident that we provide is when you look at our mobile, it says image clear ultrasound on it. And that mobile is the place where they can get that ultrasound. Now, all of those services that we just mentioned there are free of charge to that individual. They can call and we can provide them. They don't have to worry about payment or how they're going to manage that. They don't have to worry about insurance or anything because we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization providing free services. Now, that doesn't mean it's free, and I think you know that. It means that there are costs to that. There may be listeners there that are able to help and support a center like ours. We have many churches that provide that help. We have many individuals. We had a very significant donor just recently that built it into her estate that left a significant gift for us to be able to provide these services and to continue to make them free. But individuals are calling and they're looking for that assistance. And on that note, let me just say that many times when that client is looking at that ultrasound, it has been noted and it's been verified that 85% of women that see that ultrasound that can identify that baby as a living organism, that is a human being, that is a part of something that they brought into the world, can begin that bonding process and to help them to make a better decision to more clearly see those options.
Now, if I was listening and if I was just going to sit there and either volunteer my time or make a donation, I can't think of a better way to sit there and say, where are you going to get a return of 85%? I mean, to me, that is just nothing short of a miracle where 85% of young mothers, they sit there and see the ultrasound, decide to choose life for their baby. Now, if I know you have paid staff and you have volunteers, how much, and I'm assuming you're not getting hundreds of millions of dollars like Planned Parenthood, right? From the government?
Exactly right.
Just to make sure I wasn't wrong on that. What could Life Services do if, raising money wasn't an issue or fundraising wasn't an issue? If you guys had an unlimited budget, what do you think you guys could do for the young mothers and babies in Northeast Florida?
That being the case, Brad, a large part of the obstacle that we face with what we're trying to do is having the needed resources. And having those resources, I think that we would stand a much better chance of reducing the abortion rate to zero. We asked ourselves the question, what is an acceptable abortion rate? And if even one baby is being sacrificed to someone else's desires to do something different other than to follow up on the opportunity that's been given to them, the blessing that God has given them to allow them to bring a life into the world, then to terminate that. Certainly, that's a great opportunity that we have, and that even that one person is not an acceptable loss that we would want to really to accept and not do anything about. But we're seeing that abortion rate that's been pretty consistent over the years, but we're actually seeing that abortion rate come down. Right. And I think it's through the efforts of pregnancy centers and resource centers such as Life Services that are helping us to be able to make an impact there. So I think we could begin to see that rate come down and we could help even more people.
That is fantastic to hear. You've been at Life Services for about a year and a half now, and those that don't know, before that you're at Manicloth, and I guess technically still are, so sorry about that. What have you found surprising or shocking in the year and a half that you've been doing this full time, Roger?
I think the shocking thing for me is just the lack of knowledge of many people to know that this is an option that they have. We ask, where are the front lines? I'm going to tell you, Life Services is on the front lines. And so we need the support to the front lines to keep manning those services that we provide. We need the resources. We need the tools to do that. And many of those tools are through caring people that simply want to get up and do something, get out there and have an impact, do what God is calling them to do and giving them opportunity to do, and just say yes. And we need that, and we can help that person to fall into the battle line and join us in doing what is a very rewarding sort of ministry and help that people greatly need.
God has given us all gifts. It'd be certainly a blessing to everyone to use those gifts to promote a culture of life. Tell us some of your blessings. I mean, it's difficult work. It's long work. Just share a couple of blessings that you've had.
Great couple called several months ago, as a matter of fact, and a young lady called, and she was desperate. She didn't know what to do. She was a newly arrived person in the country, and she was facing the challenge of an unplanned pregnancy. And she said, Pastor, I really don't know what to do. And so she came in, we talked to her, we met with her husband, found out that they were both Christians. We were able to provide them with the medical care and to refer them to where they could receive that care. And they made a good decision. They were illegal immigrants at the time, but they've begun the process of actually having the baby, applying for citizenship. They're both working productively and working very hard. And we're seeing that couple raise that little boy. And he's just a joy to be around, and to know that we had some little part in helping that couple to make that decision. It's just an eternal reward. And so we're very thankful for that. We hope to see that multiplied over and over and over again.
That is a blessing. Thank you for sharing. Something that I've always personally found, challenging is a church liaison. If someone's sitting in a pew and they want their church to be more pro-life, for lack of a better way of explaining it, how would you recommend for that lay person to contact or talk to their preacher, their priest, on their church being more proactive?
Well, certainly there are many ways, and they can call the office, 904-599-6122, and we'll be glad to talk to them. We can meet with that pastor. We can meet with that staff person. They can be that liaison that oftentimes, the pastor can't always be involved in every aspect of ministry, and it takes that frontline person, someone coming up from the pew and saying, Pastor, I want to be a part of this, and what can I do it with your blessing, with your support? Many times that's all that's necessary, and so we can do a baby bottle campaign. We can provide the resources for them to be able to participate in our spring banquet, which is one of our major fundraising things that we do. We started doing an annual bowling tournament, and we raised about $4,500 a couple of weeks ago, and so that was a very successful tournament. And we just got so many things that we are doing, and ways that churches can really get involved. Actually, the truth be known, we can't do what we need to do without the assistance of our churches, and partnering with them to provide those services that people need, and then helping them being a part of providing the resources that are necessary to make those services available.
Has to come from the followers of Christ. Couple minutes that we have remaining, Roger. Someone listening, they're interested in finding out if they're verifying that, want to learn more about your services. What's the best way for someone to contact Life Services?
There are many ways. A lot of people like to do it on the internet. It's just an easy way for people to do that. www.elifeservices.org is our website, newly constructed site there that's available, and so we can be reached that way. We mentioned the telephone number, 904-599-6122. There's help there. If there's no one locally to pick that call up, it'll automatically roll over to that helpline that I mentioned a while ago that is nationwide. And so it doesn't matter, 24/7. They can call that number. They can call me. There's just so many ways. We have board members and so forth. I suspect they could call you, and you'd refer them on over to us.
And it's on our website too. It's surprising, and I hate to say that we're out of time already. Can't thank you enough for joining us today and all you do to promote a culture of life in Jacksonville in Northeast Florida, Roger. And I'd like to thank WQIP for being faithful to his word and this opportunity. And thank you for listening to Jacksonville for Life. For more information about local pro-life efforts, please visit us at jaxforlife.org. And until next time, do something, save babies in Jacksonville.